Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have kids, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning grind. Welcome to the office. I'm your host. I'm Heath. I hope you are doing well. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, James. Good morning, Sable. Good morning, Lady of Pain. I see you all in the chat this morning. I hope everybody is doing well. I was up and working this morning, so I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like getting over the hurdle last night of doing the new pilot of Dinner and a Board Game in that new format was a big thing, because I feel like we're going to take a look at some of the different projects here that we've gone over, unfortunately, a long time ago. Seems like weeks ago, as I've been trying to rebrand, reschedule. Well, I do a whole bunch of rebranding and moving stuff like that. That's all I've done. I feel like I have not been productive, but I have. Hey, 7x7. Hey, just not all of it is seen, but I think what's happening, especially with the rebranding to the different channels and things like that, this is going to be an ultimate big benefit. And I'm so glad that it went so well last night. There's some things that I want to change up. So last night, if you don't know what I'm talking about, last night we did Dinner and a Board Game. and we did HeroQuest number 13. So I'm going to post a link to this because I've turned it private on this channel. We simultaneously streamed it to this channel and the dedicated Dinner and a Board Game channel. Dinner and a Board Game. Quest 13 live stream. So it turned private over here. It's still public, however, over on the dedicated Dinner and a Board Game channel. So if you didn't see it last night, it was a lot of fun. You can watch the replay over there. Let's see how many views does it's saying that it says that it has 114 views. YouTube is reporting 113 views. Is that what I just said? 104 views over on the dedicated channel. So that's quite impressive. That's quite impressive. That's why I think that the branding is going well. This was an exact continuation, or this was a continuation of the previous time we had all of the players together for HeroQuest. Of course, we were playing in my dungeon gaming room together last time, but that was just too much. It was just too much. We couldn't get it done. Then we had COVID hit. We were going to try to do some more, and then some of the crew got COVID and whatever, it just didn't happen. But now, online format, that works. Last time, if you watch the Dinner and a Board Game, that was Quest 12 over on Dinner and a Board Game, that was, the name of it was Baraktor, Barrow of the Witch Lord. And they were looking for the Star of the West. And when they were looking for the Star of the West, they accidentally awakened the Witch Lord, and the Witch Lord ate their lunch. Because you have to have the Spirit Blade in order to defeat the Witch Lord. And so last night we did Quest 13, Quest for the Spirit Blade. So we had our team go in looking for the Spirit Blade, and they recovered it. That is the weapon that can defeat the Witch Lords. They'll be headed on to defeat the Witch Lord later. And it was so great to have everybody there last night. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you. That's a huge part of helping the show go on. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody who's watched or come and watched on replay. And then also, I loved having, of course, Doug was great. Leon Sky was great. Megan was great. But it was so great finally having Retro Nerd Girl on the channel and getting to talk to her. I've never been on a stream with her before. So there wasn't a whole lot to get to know each other because we were just right into the game. But that worked so well. Retro Nerd Girl was fantastic. She played the elf. We need to come up with something to talk about, Retro Nerd Girl and I, so I can have her either on Table Talk or on the Morning Grind. So I am pleased with the way that it went. I've got some things I want to change up because there was the test, that was the pilot, and I also didn't get dinner, anything cooked and dinner segment edited. That's because I was playing games at my brother's house yesterday all day, so I didn't do any work yet. 2 days ago. Otherwise, I would have had dinner. But that's okay. That was a test of everything else. It was kind of a new pilot. What I think I want to do is I need to be able to shoot dinner segments and do like 10 dinner segments, like 6-minute dinner segments. I want to cook some things here in my kitchen. I can still do that. Megan can also take the lead. I was saying, Megan, you can cook stuff at your apartment. Shoot stuff in the apartment for the cooking thing. We just need 6-minute segments. She's also got she is married to Brennan Martignoni, who was the director of photography for the Cultists and also the director of photography for the Dinner and a Board Games that we shot here at this house. So she's married to him. He's actually up in Maine right now, on a shoot doing a feature film. So we're down here in Alabama. So he's driven all the way up to Maine to be up there for 3 weeks doing a feature film. So I'm very interested to know what he's going on. The enlarge of the deck cards, is that an automatic feature? Yes. There is a checkbox that you can check on what Lady of Pain is talking about is on playingcards.io, which is the streaming software that we used for Dinner and a Board Game. When you're setting up a deck of cards, there's an optional checkbox that you can go into that you can turn on or off. Do you want enlargement to be there or not? And I think I need to turn it off on some things. I was thinking about that because sometimes the cards are very important to enlarge so that you can read it and you can also see it on the screen when it's broadcasting. But things like the enlargement of like the blocked passage or something, probably not necessary. So I need to turn that off. And that way, when I'm moving my cursor around, it's not popping things up. So that's little tweaks right like that. James says it was a lot of fun and audience participation. It was rad. Yeah, it was. That's such a huge advantage to the live stream, to the live format in all things. So we will see. So my plan is now I'm going to rethink that. I'm going to take a deep breath. That worked. I might do a dedicated RPG stream because I do want to be able to stream RPGs as well. And it will happen on the Dinner and a Board Game channel. So I want there to be more things than just HeroQuest on the Dinner and a Board Game channel. We've been very HeroQuest focused. I tend to get focused in on one thing, like RPGs, talking about here on the Morning Grind, HeroQuest over there on the Dinner and a Board Game channel. I was wondering if somebody was going to do that. Sable Phoenix says, I almost bought 3 more orcs when they were running for the exit. I was wondering if somebody was going to put some obstacles in their way to get to the exit. I like having, so I need to look again, because you said there was some kind of problem with the way that super chats were rounding or something like that. So I didn't think about that at all when I was trying to come up with that last night before the show, or yesterday afternoon before the show. So I've got that down to look at. Let me actually put it in my computer as well. Look at how rounding occurs on Dinner and a Board Game super chats. And then also turn off enlargement on some game pieces in playingcards.io. Because I thought that as people are as they go out, they got kind of stuck, and in the center of the room trying to deal with the stuff. They needed to go out. So I was hoping that the monsters would kind of push them out. Oh, we got monsters coming in, and then they need to come out, but they kind of got, oh, we got to deal with the monsters. But it's kind of like a zombie side thing. Like, you're not gonna be able to stand there and fight all the monsters if people are sending them down. You got to go and you got to get into the dungeon and find what you were talking about. Hey, let's go ahead and have a sip before we talk about this more. I got my Witch's Brew right here. I'm having some coffee this morning. Actually having warm coffee this morning. At the moment, we're kind of feeling like we had some fall weather. It was kind of weird here in Alabama that, like, as soon as it hit September 1st, we just started having fantastic fall weather. We played all of our games outside at my brother's house on Saturday. It was like perfect weather out on his deck. All right, let's sip. Let's take 2 deep breaths, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage. Here we go. There we go. That's good this morning. So James says, that would be great. A continuous RPG stream. I'd watch the heck out of that. So yeah, I think it has to be over there on the Dinner and a Board Game channel. I think it's similar enough that it can go over there on the Dinner and a Board Game channel and not have to do another channel. So at Dinner and a Board, but do Dinner and a Board Game and then like subtitle it RPG edition or something like that. Eventually, perhaps like a continuous story, but I do want to be session focused. So there are quite a few things over here that we could do. And in order to do a pilot, I think what you do, like to experiment with just doing a pilot, take one of the things over here that we've got boxes of. I can think of several different things. Maybe we don't have a guest. Maybe we don't have a guest game master the first time. Probably we shouldn't. Maybe that's what we should do. Like have me game master a game. I like to play too, but I could game master a game just for the sake of RPGs, to practice a stream like that out of one of the boxes that we've got so that people can see one of the boxes being played. Like, for instance, the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons starter set that has the CD in it with the sounds that go with it. So that would be one. We've got Blade Runner over here. We've got, I really want to play the One Ring. See, I think it would be fun if somebody who eventually, if we were big enough to have guest game masters in, that if you're the person who wrote the adventure, then you know it best, and then we could sit down and we could play, and the guest could be the GM. I'm also thinking that if you've got some kind of system or some kind of world, you can do a guest game master and have them in. For instance, Mark Tassin needs to come on and be a game master, a guest game master to run Cool Name RPG. Maybe he's a bit further, once he's a little bit further into it, if he's got some type of sample test, whatever, adventure or something like that. It would be fun to have him come in and run that. The same way with Lou. Lou's got his world of Thrones and Bones. It would be great to have Lou come in and be a guest game master to run a one-shot in Thrones and Bones and have people play through it. So, but probably what we need then is another pilot and not have a guest game master first. Just let me take one of these. I'm kind of feeling the AD&D box set at the moment, but would have to see what I'll have to do is I'll have to build out the playingcards.io board for a particular RPG. Like it would have to be built out especially for the One Ring, because the One Ring has custom dice. But some games that just use polyhedrals, maybe you get away with the same board if it's going to be like, especially if it's like 5e or OSR or something like that. I'll think about that. Probably, maybe that's the next thing that has to happen or should happen. Sable Phoenix says it's just that any super chat of less than $2 doesn't allow you to send a chat with it. Okay, so it needs to be in increments of $2. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Arturo says, hi, everybody. Great game and fun last night. It was great seeing you in the chat. Thank you so much for being there. Zero the Blade says, you have to manually change the super chat amount when you aren't dealing with flat US amount. It can be annoying. Okay, so then I will change that. So change. And we had a couple of other ideas like the reroll should allow you to draw a new card if you're treasure hunting. That seems like a good idea. And then also Stray wanted to be able to get the wizard a spell back. So that also worked. I wouldn't say no. Oh, Sable says, I wouldn't say no to running the Blades in the Dark or Phoenix Dawn Command. Phoenix Dawn Command was the one that was all the card-based. It was the card-based RPG. We haven't looked at that here, but I remember you talking about that. Were you able to build any of that out in playingcards.io? That would be interesting. Because anything that's easy to build out, I liked having everything on the screen because they didn't have to keep track of anything. Now they have to keep track of things, the players between games, but during the game, it was all on the screen. HeroQuest had a lot to keep track of. Hey, wait a minute. Was somebody talking about Alien? Wait, James, were you talking about Alien? Oh, I remember. I was just looked over here and I saw Alien. Now, I remember you were saying there was a cinematic mode in Alien or something like that. I thought that I had something to do with Alien. So I just looked over here and I do have Alien Heart of Darkness over here. So we were going to look at this on the morning grind. I remember what this is, but it says this is an expansion. It's not the main set. So it says note the Alien RPG core rulebook or the Alien RPG starter set is required to play. So yeah, so that's it. James has mentioned this on the Discord. So I do have something to do with Alien, but I don't have anything to do with this because I don't have the starter set or the core box. I got this expansion. I didn't know it was an expansion. So we'll have to look at that. Okay, let's take a look at, before we do, you want to look at what they missed last night? We're going to take a look at what they missed last night. So if you're watching the game where you don't want to know what was inside the quest here, let's take a look at what they missed. They happen to go pretty correctly. That they made some pretty good decisions about which rooms to go into last night. Go auxiliary camera. There we go. They made some pretty good decisions. I added some furniture in there. If you don't want to see, this is the spoiler part of the show. But if you want a behind the screen look, turn on auxiliary camera light. So right here, they got, I added a couple of pieces of furniture. I think 3 pieces of furniture because I wanted to try out these cards. Oh, I think the cards went very well. So we were using the Axios Quest, Axion Quest cards. Man, I got cards stacked up. I got things everywhere. Well, like the furniture deck. I thought that was nice. I wanted to experiment with the furniture deck. I thought that added quite a bit. I like the furniture deck. It just adds something extra to the quest, especially if you've been playing HeroQuest like I have, and you've been through that treasure deck like a million times. So, you know, the treasure deck doesn't surprise me very much anymore. But now having the furniture actually have certain things, I really like that. So my priority then for the treasure search is that if there's something special, obviously quest specific, like the Spirit Blade was down here, if there's something quest specific in here, I put the weapons rack in there. I put this is a bunch of empty rooms. So I put the bookcase in here and I put the cupboard over here just as a chance to use these over here. If there's a quest-specific magic item or any kind of treasure, this quest-specific treasure, then the first player who searches finds that. Then if there is a piece of furniture in the room, the second player to search, or the first player, if there's no specific quest-specific treasure, goes to the furniture deck, and then any player after that would go to the standard treasure deck, or if it is actually an empty room. I like that. I think that works well. I especially like these dungeon event cards. We looked at these because my main complaint with HeroQuest, people can talk about different little things to change, but the little things don't bother me during play. You know, whether or not you think the dice are too random or you don't like moving with the dice, like we could change that and we could make little tweaks like that. And of course, a lot of people have during playing HeroQuest. Those are little tweaks. I don't feel that's a problem during the game. The way the game plays, the style of HeroQuest, the way that it plays, I think that that works very well during play. But during dungeon events, but the problem that I do have with HeroQuest is that it's too easy for the heroes to play optimally if there's no time pressure. So you think using these dungeon events, it's a roll of a 5 or 6. You get to draw one of these cards if Zargon has no monsters on the board. And that keeps the players from just saying, okay, we stay and then we stay and we reset ourselves, or we all go walk over here, or all of that, where ordinarily you can take all the time. That's the major, I think, design flaw of the game. And I think these dungeon events help that out. There's a risk to trying to just go through all the turns, not put monsters on the board, and try to get optimal play. And then super chat in if you want an automatic dungeon event the next time they qualify. I like that a lot. That's probably my favorite addition to the game. The furniture spices things up, like I said, especially if you've gone through the game so many times, to get some extra kind of treasure in there. And of course, that was due to that. And I also have the equipment cards in there. It was due to that Retro Nerd Girl got the battle axe, which was really nice. These are late quests. If you've watched Quest 12 on the Dinner and a Board Game channel, they all died. They didn't get out of Quest 12. So they're a little bit behind as far as treasures. They started new heroes for Quest 13. And so they're a little bit behind. This is Quest 13, so it's a bit late. So I didn't mind them getting more gold and getting a battle axe and things like that, because they need a bit more stuff because they're a bit late in the game. But that's what, the main quest boxes, the quests from the main system box are much easier than those Elf Quest and Barbarian quests. Yeeks, those were rough. So I knew these were easier. So adding a few things in was not a problem. And the fact that they didn't have a bunch of gear was not a problem, because these are easier quests. They went the right way. They went down here. There was nothing in this room. Yeah. Sable Phoenix says they got the sword pretty quickly. Yes, they did. If I remember, the other side have tougher battles. I'm not sure. But Zero the Blade says the room layout was pretty dull and empty. Right. Yeah. For some reason, this one's empty. We got an empty room up here. That room was just empty. So I put something up there. This room is just empty. And this room is empty of furniture. Well, this has the mummy in it, but no furniture. So I was like, let's add something. So they did do right. They came down here. They checked out here and they checked out here. They didn't step in here, but again, that's an empty room. I probably would have put something in there to use the furniture, but it was a correct choice not to try to go into this room because there was just nothing up there. If they come down here, they went through this room. So this room this whole section over here has a whole bunch of monsters. Femur, orc, goblin, orc, goblin. And over here, orc, Femur, Chaos Warrior. So this was just a whole bunch of stuff to fight your way through. Now, the furniture in this quest by the book was all over here. We got tables over here. So tables over here. But then over here, B, they did miss treasure. So B right here, this treasure chest contained 200 gold coins. So they missed out on 200 gold by not coming up here to that box, to that treasure chest. So so they actually made some great decisions, and it was still, like I said, it makes me once again think about the what do they call it? West Marches style game or something like that, because that was there was a little bit of an intro, so we didn't actually start the game until maybe 17, 6:18, something like that, maybe 6:20, something like that. So that was a little bit under 3 hours. But again, that was basically a dungeon crawl for the length of a West Marches style game. So there should be some way to add in simultaneous play. Like if we had some kind of game like that had simultaneous play. Again, I was thinking about that again. I was trying to push that out of my mind last night because there's so many other things to think about at the moment. But I'm still returning to that idea. Because once again, dungeon crawling, about a HeroQuest length is the length of a dungeon crawl. But if you can add in simultaneous play, you could get more done. You could get more done if you did simultaneous play. Heroes would be able to move more frequently and stay in action. Maybe something like, I think Dinner and Board Game would be a great time to experiment eventually with a Hackmaster, maybe for one of the RPG nights, a Hackmaster Dungeon Delve. Playing with the Hackmaster rules, that would be neat. Okay, let everybody try it out and everybody see it. All right, what else are we talking about here? Okay, I got this table over here to look at. You guys kind of get a behind-the-scenes look here about what kind of projects that we're doing. I think we should return to projects. It's not World Building Wednesday. I haven't had time to do any world building. And I got to work on like accounting and tax stuff this afternoon. Let's see. So let's bring this up. I don't understand why. There we go. Okay, so how are we doing? So let's skip morning grind at the moment. Table talk. So what's been going on? Table talk. A few weeks ago, we said possibly start a dedicated channel and also publish to other podcasting outlets. Okay, haven't been able to publish to other podcasting outlets yet, but dedicated channel has been started. I'm not going to worry about that right now. That's too much. Dedicated channel, I'll do that later. Dedicated YouTube channel. You kind of get to see here on the morning grind the whole development of, okay, what kind of projects are we doing here? What kind of status are they in? Dedicated YouTube channel has been started. And a lot has been uploaded to that channel that has not been published yet. That's one of the things that took so long. That took like 2 weeks to actually start sorting all of these. I got about 1,000 videos that need to be sorted to different channels. So table talk, and I think this is so much better, right? We've got the problem at the moment in the short term about, like, Sable was having this trouble last night, that neither the table talk or the general geekdom channels are monetized. So you can't send in super chats from the table talk or the general the table talk or the Dinner and a Board Game channel because they're not monetized. They don't have enough subscribers. You got to get to 1,000 subscribers and some number of watch hours within 90 days or something like that in a 90-day window. I forget that at the moment. But we got to get to 1,000 subscribers anyway in order to monetize the channel and allow people to send in super chats. And then there's some other number, depending on whether you're focusing on shorts or whatever else, to actually allow ads to go on the channel. YouTube will still show ads on videos, even if it's not monetized, but they take all of the money. So you have to get to some kind of threshold before they split the advertising revenue with you. And it sure would be nice. It sure would be nice to ultimately get to a point where at least on a month-to-month basis, because this is not, in case you're wondering, none of what I'm doing right now is self-sustaining. That's why the channel members are so important. I appreciate you guys so much. And also the super chats and things like that, because no operation that we have going on right now is at all self-sustaining. So if you're thinking about, hey, you know what, I could do some YouTube. Well, yes, you probably could, and go ahead. But just be aware at the moment, what I have is not anything near a self-sustaining enterprise. So it would be nice if through like just general YouTube revenue, it covered monthly expenses, then it would become self-sustaining. Then I still have to do other projects and things like that. But it sure would be nice if eventually just everyday YouTube kind of revenue were able to cover expenses month to month. And then we could then that would give time. That would take a lot of pressure off. And then we could spend the time to develop greater and larger projects. But the pressure would be off because we had some kind of self-sustaining kind of way to go. Let me see, Table Talk, in case you're wondering, you're here for the behind the scenes element of YouTube production, because I'm a producer. I'm supposed to be producing things. That's why I haven't gotten to work on the creative process, because my major creative process, like writing Rabavania for both the script and the primer, because I had been focused entirely on rebranding this, because I got to these things I've already made, I've got to get right. So I've been trying to get that right. And I think I am on a good trajectory here. So if you want the behind the scenes of YouTube creation, where is Table Talk? Okay, Table Talk right here. So this has been going out for the channel has only existed for like 3 weeks. So we've got 65 subscribers on that channel. So 65 subscribers on the channel. There have been 14,100 views. So there have been 14,100 views in the last 28 days, which is basically the life of the channel, over on Table Talk. And the total watch time is 176 hours. So in the last 28 days, there have been 176 hours watched on the Table Talk channel, 14,100 views, total of 65 subscribers. So that's where we start. That's where we start. But I am feeling pretty good about that, because I was noticing that the number of views that the clips, I put out a bunch of the clips for Doug and my discussion of Ahsoka, because Ahsoka is going on right now. So I made sure it took a while, but I clipped all the Ahsoka discussion, and then I put those clips out. And also actually the conversation with Ray Tessie, the guy who owns the original Enterprise set replica in Kingsland, Georgia, Neutral Zone Studios. That conversation, that live stream is getting a lot of play. So that's great. And it seems like hour to hour, day to day, there's a pretty reasonable number of views in the channel. So that's why I think the branding is so important, kind of behind the scenes. Like I said, on YouTube, the branding of that channel is now Dinner and a Board, or Table Talk. So if you see that, I put Table Talk clip on all of them. So if you see that, maybe you'd like to watch another kind of Table Talk video with me and Doug. And so if you do that, you just go to the channel, and then they're all there, and you got all the same thing. You're not also seeing the morning grind. You're not also seeing Dinner and a Board Game. I think that's better. So that seems to be going pretty well. General Geekdom, that show got scratched. I was just thinking that was a year ago that I was working on General Geekdom, and General Geekdom was the panel show. So I was trying to get together a panel for a discussion of something once a week. Trying to get together a group of people sucks. Like even last night, it's an advantage for playing a game that online, that you don't have to have people travel. I don't have to worry about getting a camera crew and everybody here for Dinner and a Board Game, because that's difficult at the same time. If you're doing Dinner and a Board Game in the new format, all you have to do is get everybody at their table, at their table on their laptop. But even I was having people drop out the very day of that show. So, and Leon was willing to come in. Leon came in the morning of. I said, hey, I got a slot that just opened because somebody dropped out, and Leon came in. So, that was a problem with General Geekdom, is that I was having to arrange a panel every week. So I just scratched that show, because trying to even get together a group of people weekly who have all like watched a single television show or all watched a single movie. Not possible. So General Geekdom, that's a show that got scratched, and basically it got folded into Table Talk. I've got to redo the Table Talk intro because it says it's the one-on-one show, and it is one-on-one, or can be. But if we got multiple people, then hey, we got multiple people. So I really like that format better. So the General Geekdom kind of format got rolled into Table Talk. Sometimes it's just me and one other person. Sometimes it can be a whole crew. By the way, Tuesday night. So Tuesday night on Table Talk, I got to make up the thumbnail for this. Cameron's going to be back. Cameron, Brianna, and I want to talk about the subject, what is story? What is story? That seems to be a very foundational discussion. It's going to be what is story? So Brianna's going to be there, Cameron's going to be there, and Doug is going to be there. So we're going to have a conversation on what story is, a foundational level discussion. And then also, Doug did watch Ahsoka episode 3. I did as well. I still wasn't too terribly impressed with it, but Doug had some thoughts on it. I do have thoughts on it. So we will talk about what is story, and then we will also get at the end, Doug and I will talk about Ahsoka and what happened there. Although I do want Cameron to talk about that as well, because Cameron has been very positive about Ahsoka. So we need a different perspective as well. So I'm going to ask Cameron what he thinks about Ahsoka. But we got another. So speaking of panel types of shows, we'll have the 4-person panel on what is story Tuesday night on Table Talk. Let's see. Let's see. That's the stuff here. Yeah, and yeah, I am so behind on things like that. I am so behind on stuff like that. James says, what's the upload frequency that YouTube algorithm likes? It isn't like at least once a week or no more than 3 times a day. I don't know. I used to hear years and years ago that you got to upload at least once a week. You know, find your time to upload once a week. And I think some of the very large, well-established channels can still operate like that. But now it seems like I was listening to people much more recently, you know, and I was trying to get this figured out. Like I said, I remember it. Like, so it sounds like you're so ancient. I remember when people used to say upload to YouTube at least once a week. And then other people are like, you've got to upload at least once a day or 2 to 3 times a day. I was experimenting with those shorts because we were trying. I'll show you some other kinds of experience. I was experimenting with some of those shorts. And I'm like, can we do 2 shorts a day? Can 2 shorts a day come up? Streaming. How? I don't know. Let's see. Zero the Blade says, I see the tax discussion going on. Zero the Blade says, I think General Geekdom could make a comeback with the what is KOTG? What is that? Is that an acronym for one of the shows that I've I don't know. What is that acronym? James says Cameron is so darn unpredictable. Yeah, well, yeah. See, I would have thought that Cameron would not have liked this. So sometimes I miss my estimation. I try to, listen to what people say, understand their analysis of story and everything like that. I would have thought that Cameron would have also thought the story structure of Barbie was bad, but he did not. I also would have thought that he would have looked at Ahsoka and gone, this is not working, but he seems to go the other direction. So we will see why. I can't either. I did the same thing with Lou. I was using Lou's method of story analysis, and I was like, then I forget what it was, but I watched a couple of things. This was years ago, and I was like, now Lou will not like this because here's the story problems. And I was completely wrong about that. Oh, Knights of the Geekverse. Oh, the Knights of the Geekverse. So I think so. Zero the Blade says, I think that the General Geekdom could make a comeback with Knights of the Geekverse. Well, yeah, we kind of did that with the members only discussion. So we did kind of have that. Yeah, so you're right. We did kind of have that as a members only discussion. Which, speaking of which, I need to plan another. We'll probably do a members only game night. So dinner and a board game. So yes, it did morph from in-person to recorded live, and we got our first pilot of that new format going out and on a dedicated channel. So the dedicated channel begun. I also had to remake. One of the things that took a long time was I remade all of the thumbnails, because my thumbnails were all over the place for having done this for years and what they look like and stuff like that. So dedicated channel started, morphed into recorded live, and we tested that out. So this right here, so this Friday Night Dice, I don't see any need to have this as a separate thing than Dinner and a Board Game. RPG streaming show, this needs to be streamed on the Dinner and a Board Game channel. Can't even read that. Instead of having its own separate brand. I've got too much. Shrink this down. So that might be one of the things that I try. See, I'm going to have to, I want to schedule Dinner and a Board Game in advance. Because like I said, I was having people drop out even the day before, even actually the morning before that show. And that ultimately doesn't work that stressful. That's okay, because this was just a test. This was a new pilot last night. But I'm glad we had a full crew. But that in the future, so now what I need to do is I actually need to schedule games, put out a new casting call for Dinner and a Board Game, come up with a regular night for it, and make sure I know who's going to be there, have the dinner segments already pre-recorded so they are ready to go, so they can go right into the stream. So that's the same thing that needs to happen with Friday Night Dice. So we won't call it Friday Night Dice anymore. New name. I got an intro for that, but we'll call it Dinner and a Board Game RPG Edition. I think that's the thing to do. That'll be streamed over there, and so I need to schedule that. The Cultists, I hadn't even started this. This is going to be a dedicated channel. I'm going to re-release all of this on a dedicated channel. I haven't even started that yet because I didn't get down to dedicate to the Cultists. But the Cultists then also needs to be on its dedicated channel, and I'm going to re-release all of the material over there through season 2. So those people, and if you find the Cultists, it'll be on its own channel. Find it new, and then be able to go through all of the Cultist material. I think that's definitely the way to go. So I've got to work on dedicated channel, start a dedicated channel, and I'm gonna have to remake. I have remade the Cultists thumbnails so many times, but I like the consistent branding that I got going on for like General Geek for a Dinner and Board Game and Table Talk. The Cultist needs the same thing. Sable Phoenix says a big part of Phoenix Dawn Command is that your character is your personal deck of cards. So having some persistence between sessions would be extremely helpful. You can do that because you can. So I think the way you'd have to do that is save your game. You can save your game. The reason I don't do that on playingcards.io in HeroQuest, and I just have everybody make their own characters, because we might have, or save their own characters, because we might have people coming in and out. But if you have a dedicated group of people, I don't also know how difficult it is to reset up Dawn Command. But for HeroQuest, all those pieces have got to go someplace, and then they get scattered all over the table during the game, and cards come out and things like that. So it's much easier in HeroQuest for me just to reload the game. So just start a new room, and I've got a save file of the game in its starting state, and then load it, and then it appears. And then people could grab their stuff for their character and set up their character. I think that's fastest. But if it weren't all that hard to reset a game of Phoenix Dawn Command, and you need to keep everybody's cards, then what you do is you just save the game. Like at the end of the game, press save, and it would save that game in that exact state. And that, I guess if you put everybody's, I suppose it saves the hand. I guess it does. But what you could definitely do, even if it doesn't do that, is have everybody take everything that's in their hand, put it on a stack on the table, save the game, and then everybody would pick up their stack and put it back in their hand. So it can do that. Well, no, you can have more. It's a file. It's a downloaded file. When you hit save, it's like download file. So you can at any time in playingcards.io, you can hit save or whatever the actual command is. And what it does is it downloads a file of the state of the game at that very moment and saves it to your hard drive. And then you can pick it back up and reload that game. So you can save it as many times as you want. You're just getting a hard drive copy of it is the way that works. So with the morning grind, so I think what needs to happen then, and I've got to remove some things from this channel, is this channel needs to be rebranded to the morning grind. So and also more excerpts done and things like that. So right now, Table Talk and Dinner and Board Game are going. The Cultist, that'll be pretty well branded. But now what's happened is that this channel has become the weird one, the weird eclectic one. So rather than being Heath's Geekverse, I think this might actually need to be rebranded to the morning grind, because I don't see doing a whole lot of other standalone videos on this channel. I used to do that all the time, but it didn't exactly work, and they're so time consuming too. So when other videos are made, I think they'd be played as part of the morning grind, kind of like how we did the videos of going and visiting the Enterprise set at Neutral Zone Studios. Those were posted as standalone videos on this channel, but they were also played as part of the Morning Grind show. I've got a lot of videos about how I renovated this house to be the gaming house and for streaming and things like that. So I could play those. And also I've got a lot more material I've got to edit. So I did my kitchen and my living room. I knocked out a wall between my kitchen and my living room. It was a concrete wall. I live in a concrete block house, and one of the interior walls was a concrete block wall that I had to knock out with a sledgehammer in order to open up the space between my kitchen and my living room. And then I made it into a medieval tavern look. So I need to, if I re-edit those, I can play those during the morning grind. We talk about, hey, let's do house renovation stuff, and I can post those as well. But that still goes to say this needs to be a rebranded channel, I think. And it's mostly morning grind material and also like clips and things like that people come out with. Doesn't it use XML or something? I don't actually know what it uses. It does have to download all of the images, because the images have to be downloaded. So like for the HeroQuest save files are actually a large file, because those are a lot of JPEGs and things like that. HeroQuest is not built particularly efficiently. If you build it out, if you're building something from scratch in playingcards.io, SVGs are obviously a great way to go. SVGs, and they're more efficient ways to build out card decks, and that way your save files aren't all that large. But that's a lot of images that are uploaded to HeroQuest. So when I save HeroQuest, it's a big file that I download. But it's got to have the images. It's got to have the images. So I don't exactly know what type of, it could be XML as a package, but you got to download all the images as well. So that's a lot. I guess that's why I feel like I was talking to someone. I was like, I'm doing too much. I'm trying to do too much. I'm definitely trying to do too much. But it would be great to know if some things work and some things just don't. Then I will stop doing those things that do not work. I would really like to be able to stop doing the things that do not work, except for you got to figure out exactly what works. And having this divided is going to be a much, then I can compare numbers and find out what's working, what doesn't work. I can stop doing the things that don't work, double down the things that do work. And that might make life less stressful as well. Let's see. So what have I got over here? Okay, so there's been no progress made on the like physical items and things like that. Goodnight Sword got out, the RPG World Primer, editing. So James Bacon finished that. Brianna is about to have some time where she can take on some independent projects, and she's a professional graphic designer. And so it would be great if our schedules line up so that I can hand that off to her in order to be edited, in order to be laid out. She could do some really nice layout for that. And I have been keeping track of what's going on in image generation and stable diffusion models, because it's just about time. What I need to do is I need to sit down with some dedicated time and work on how can we get the illustrations that we need. because I was really having trouble illustrating Rabavania using stable diffusion models. But with some things that have changed in the last like 3 months, or it might have been a little bit longer since I've worked on that for Rabavania, 4 months, whatever, that may be changing. So we will see what we can do in order to get the illustration over there. Everything else is in progress and has been on hold in this location. There's some other projects that might come online. I've been talking to another lady about what project should be attacked, but I went back and I started the rebranding. We were talking about branding. She and I were when we were at lunch, and branding is an issue. So if I get that sorted out, I had to go back to the beginning. I had to go basically back to the beginning of all of my projects and start working through them again with better branding in line. Good morning, Ghostly Karma. Oh, James says, I used to do layout with my editing business. It was the most fun part of the job. Well, if Brianna can't do it, I may talk to you about that. No, what is this over here? Okay, and we hadn't even got, so this was all Rabavania over here. Oh, yeah, lots of stuff. I'm going to have to improve my status report system over here. We've got the action figures that's on hold manufacturer's prototype stage, because as we talked about, the action figures, that's going to take a large chunk of cash in order to get all of those molds made. That's what's holding that. I need that's going to take a lot of cash. So we either have to be able to crowdfund it, or I got to come up with that money in some other way. So I haven't even had time to think about that, because I've been working on figuring out how to get YouTube to work. Working on trying to figure out how to get YouTube to work. So this is, you're looking at behind the scenes here. So that's the explanation. James says, I bet you $1 Brianna is about approximately 10 hajillion times better at it than I am currently. Probably still a jillion times better at me than my peak. Well, I don't know. She laid out the Goodnight Sword book, but this is going to be a more complex layout. Okay. Well, okay. We'll chat if we need to. I hope that Brianna will get to take it. She's trying to get back in. She's trying to get back into freelancing a bunch of things, including layout, well, including basically graphic design in general. So she was trying to find, this goal is still stressing me out. Her goal is to move to LA in 1 year. So we're now under 1 year and counting, so that she can move on to her directing, into her directing life. And of course, she's been working on directing short films. She was editing a short film that she just shot that we'll take a look at on the morning grind when it's out. Not on the, well, we could take a look at the morning grind, but we'll take a look at it in Table Talk. So we'll watch it on Table Talk and then have her discuss it and things like that when it's finally ready. Because she's been trying to work on directing things. She has a portfolio. So when she moves out to LA, she has some type of director's portfolio, and we both have to have scripts. And so that's also stressing me out. So if I move out there with her, which that's the plan, to move out there in a year, I got to have my scripts written. So that's why the Rabavania script is so important. And then also the Theophany script is going to be so important, because I want those to be the scripts. But it is difficult sometimes to just sit and when you're still trying to get something off the ground. That's the very long-term project. The movie script's the very long-term project, the most long-term project. Long-term, high-risk project, high reward, but high risk project. I mean, low probability of occurrence, right? That's the low probability of occurrence event. But if you don't write the script, it can't occur. But because it's such a low probability event, sometimes it's hard to justify sitting down and working on when you can be doing something like working on the YouTube channels to get material out to the world. And plus, like I said, I want to be a producer. I like being a producer. I like producing shows. I like making things. So that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So, I can do that sitting here in the office working on YouTube. That's an aggressive. Well, yeah, we reset. It was going to be, she had to sign a new lease, so it was going to be moving next summer. That was originally kind of the target, but she had to sign a new lease, so we reset back to September 1st. So her lease in Colorado, yeah, she's out in Colorado. She's out in Colorado. She signed a lease September 1st, so that's a 1-year lease. So we got a year to get a couple of scripts ready. I'm hoping that the Theophany script goes faster. Theophany, but that's the one that tells the story of the fall of Lucifer, by the way. I'm hoping that one goes faster than the Rabavania script, because if it doesn't, I haven't learned anything. I mean, I have been writing and talking to Cameron and getting feedback, and Brianna and I talk every Tuesday and back and forth. And that's one of the whole reasons that we started Table Talk and started talking about story analysis, is because we've basically been putting together our own film school. We put together our own film school when we did The Cultist. We're like, what does it take to actually create a web show? Well, and that was actually the first one we did, was the Dinner and a Board Game season 1. Whole crew over here. What does it take to actually do this? So we'd never done anything like that. So we just threw ourselves into the fire, figured out how to get it done. And then we did our scripted show, The Cultists. And then we did, Brianna and I have been doing our own, like I call it, our graduate level, what do you call it? Seminar, graduate level seminar in story and story analysis, as we continue to write our own. Because she and I used to meet and have those conversations just ourselves. And we're like, hey, why don't we live stream those conversations so other people can be a part of it? Yes. Yeah, it needs, yeah. Well, yeah. The priority needs to be, well, stable income in order to get out there, or a job out there waiting, and then have the scripts. Because I don't want to not have the scripts ready to go out there, because there's no point, and it's so expensive out there. I don't want to have the scripts not ready. I had always intended, like, my thought there had always been to turn into a novel, but Cameron says do the novel second. I think we talked about that. That's why there's the novel there. So the movie script will be written, and then once the movie script is written, then the novel will be written from that. So I can do things with the novel that's independent of the script, whether that's self-publishing or get an agent. Cameron says get an agent. And traditionally publish. I don't know. That's what Lou would have said as well. But then Lou has had great success in traditional publishing. Although he has turned around to more independent style publishing, because he did publish his RPGs stuff independently, set up his own company for that. And then also, did anybody did I show off this Tales from Stokey's Hall? Where's that book? I can't. Who knows where anything is in this office anymore? If I turn the camera around, you wouldn't believe it. It had Ed Greenwood in it. Well, anyway, he self-published Tales from Stokey's Hall, and in his World of Thrones and Bones, the world of Qualth. Qualth is the name of the world. Norengard is the name of the Viking-esque area of that world. And even Ed Greenwood wrote from. Lou is very well connected, so even Ed Greenwood had written a short story for that. And that Kickstarter was just fulfilled somewhere where that book is. Anyway. Movie studios won't work with non-traditionally published works. They want to deal with an unemotional, impartial business entity, not a passionate author. Yeah, that's why Cameron says go traditional publishing. Cameron says that it needs to be traditional publishing, because he says that if it's not traditionally published, Hollywood won't care. That's exactly why Cameron says that. Go traditionally published. All right. Well, what else do we need to talk about? So that was kind of an update on where we are and why I appear to be getting nothing done. But it's because it's all been rebranding YouTube over the past like 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, corporate entity, or it's just what they look at. Now, I expect later for that to change. I expect later for that to change, but it won't change as long as the people are in power who who have traditionally worked with traditional publishing. I think that's it. Now, later in 20 years or something like that, once people who have actually grown up with self-publishing and independent publishing and all of that, and know a lot more about that as a part of things, I expect that to change. But at the moment, yeah, I think that is definitely true. Like what goes on YouTube or in independent publishing is not something that they take a look at, I don't believe. Now, I guess an exception to that, I guess, there's exceptions that prove the rule. But Critical Role, I suppose, Critical Role got an Amazon deal for, an Amazon TV show. So that was something that came off of YouTube. There are a few, but so that one worked. But that one was huge. I suppose there was some guys who did some skits. I tried to really find at one time people who did stuff on YouTube and then was specifically looking at YouTube, who did stuff on YouTube and were able to transition to some type of film deal or movie deal. There are a few examples, but there are not many. There were some people who were doing corporate skits, kind of like mockumentary style corporate skits or comedy skits, something like that. And they got picked up. They were doing YouTube skits and they got picked up by Comedy Central and got like 7 or 8 seasons of a show made because the executive saw them on YouTube and picked them up. And now they're getting a movie. I wish I could remember the name of that. But so it has happened. It has happened. But it's rare. It's very rare. All right. Well, I have got work to do, and unfortunately, now any moment of creative stuff has got to go because I've got to get down into accounting and taxes and get into that in a big way. So I'm going to sit here. I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to have no fun today because of that. But I got you got to catch up on administrative stuff too. So that's where I am. That's the projects. That's the behind the scenes look. I'm glad everybody has been enjoying it. I think that it went well last night. I think we're on a good track. I'm feeling good about where we are. But it's a long road. So if you're here on the morning grind, either watching live or watching on replay, you're getting the behind the scenes look about what I'm trying to do to make all this happen and what it's like. So everybody, please have a wonderful day. Be creative, be constructive, and I will see you in the morning.